Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Caitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāsadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāsadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śivāsadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Srila Guru Deva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Stotra Sattasi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Stotra Sattasi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Om. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we shall read from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 1. Beginning with text 94. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityānanda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityānanda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityānanda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Text 94. kṛṣṇa-bhaktira bādhaka yata śubha-aśubha karma. Seha eka jīvera ajñāna-tamo-dharma. kṛṣṇa-bhaktira, of devotional service to Krishna. Bādhaka, hindrance. Yata, all. śubha-aśubha, auspicious or inauspicious, karma, activity, seha, that, eka, one, jīvera, of the living entity, ajñāna-tamaḥ, of the darkness of ignorance, dharma, the character. Translation: all kinds of activities, both auspicious and inauspicious, that are detrimental to the discharge of transcendental loving service to Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, are actions of the darkness of ignorance. Please repeat. All kinds of activities, both auspicious and inauspicious, that are detrimental to the discharge of transcendental loving service to Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, are actions of the darkness of ignorance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The poetical comparison of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityānanda to the sun and moon is very significant. The living entities are spiritual sparks, and their constitutional position is in devotional service to the Supreme Lord in full Krishna consciousness. As Lord Chaitanya states, jīvera swarupai Krishna Nityadas. The constitutional position of the living entity is he is the eternal servant of Krishna. So when we act in devotional service to Krishna, we are acting in our original natural position. Sorry? So when we act in our original position as eternal servants of Krishna, we are in our natural position and feel happy and satisfied. Srila Prabhupada used to give the example of a fish out of water. If you take a fish out of water, even if you put it in a beautiful golden bowl filled with valuable gems and jewels and light incense and spray all sorts of aromatic fragrances, the fish will not be happy because the fish is a creature of the water. And the fish can be happy only in the water. So similarly, we are creatures of the spirit. Our natural position is with Krishna in the spiritual world. And if you take us out of our original position, no matter how much we pamper ourselves with material things, we will never be happy and satisfied, because our true happiness and satisfaction comes in our relationship with Krishna. So the living entities are spiritual sparks, and their constitutional position is in devotional service to the Supreme Lord in full Krishna consciousness. So-called pious activities and other ritualistic performances, pious or impious, as well as the desire to escape from material existence, are all considered to be coverings of these spiritual sparks. So again, Jīvesvarapai Krishna Nityadas, our constitutional position, Swarup, is that we are eternal servants of Krishna, and acting in any other way will only lead to disappointment and frustration. So pious or impious activities outside of Krishna consciousness are under the influence of the darkness of ignorance, and even the desire for liberation is under the darkness of ignorance, because a pure devotee, first of all, is already liberated, and second of all, a pure devotee doesn't desire liberation. He or she desires only to serve Krishna. The third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describes devotional service influenced by different modes of nature, and Srila Prabhupada has paraphrased these statements in the third canto as follows. If someone thinks, I am the only devotee here, everyone else is nonsense, that is devotional service influenced by the mode of ignorance. If someone thinks, I want to be known as being the best devotee, that is devotional service influenced by the mode of passion. If one thinks, I want to go home back to Godhead, that is devotional service influenced by the mode of goodness. But if one thinks, I just want to serve Krishna and please Krishna, that is transcendental. That is beyond all the modes. So here, Srila Prabhupada says, so-called pious activities and other ritualistic performances, pious or impious, as well as the desire to escape from material existence, are all considered to be coverings of these spiritual sparks. The living entities must get free from these superfluous coverings and fully engage in Krishna consciousness. The purpose of the appearance of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityānanda is to dispel the darkness of the soul. And therefore Srila Prabhupada says the comparison of Lord Caitanya and Nityānanda to the sun and the moon is very appropriate, because the sun and the moon dissipate the darkness. before their appearance, this is the significance of the appearance of Shishigornitai, before their appearance, these superfluous, means unnecessary, activities of the living entities were covering Krishna consciousness. But after the appearance of these two brothers, people's hearts are becoming cleansed. And how are their hearts becoming cleansed? Through chanting and hearing about Krishna. Through Sankirtan, Cheto Darpano Marjanam. Sankirtan cleanses the dust from the mirror of the consciousness. Before their appearance, all these superfluous activities of the living entities were covering Krishna consciousness. But after the appearance of these two brothers, people's hearts are becoming cleansed, Cheto Darpano Marjanam, and they are again becoming situated in the real position of Krishna consciousness. And my dear devotees, all of you, all of us who are here today, are evidence of the truth of Srila Prabhupada's statement that after the appearance of Sri Sri Gaur Nitai, people's hearts are becoming cleansed. And they are again becoming situated in the real position of Krishna consciousness. You are living proof. Text 95. Yanhara prasade e tamohaya nasha tamo nasha kari kare tatvera prakasha. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityānanda, this darkness of ignorance is removed and the truth is brought to light. Yes, Srila Prabhupada took as his motto for Back to Godhead magazine the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita that Godhead is light and nescience is darkness. Where there is light, there can be no nescience, no darkness. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityānanda, this darkness of ignorance is removed and the truth is brought to light. Tattvavastu Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Prema Rupa, Nama Sankirtana Sabha Ananda Swarupa. The absolute truth is Sri Krishna. And loving devotion to Sri Krishna is exhibited, and loving devotion to Sri Krishna exhibited in pure love is achieved through congregational chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all bliss. The essence of all bliss, Sabha Ananda Swarup, Nama Sankirtan. Text 97. Surya Chandra Bahire Tama Se Vinashe Bahir Vastu Gata Pata Adi Se Prakashe. The sun and moon dissipate the darkness of the external world and thus reveal external material objects like pots and plates. Text 98. Dui Bai Hridayara Shali Andakara Dui Bhagavata Sange Karana Sakshatkara. But these two brothers, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityānanda, dissipate the darkness of the inner core of the heart. And thus they help one meet the two kinds of Bhagavatas, persons or things in relationship with the personality of Godhead. Text 99. Eka Bhagavata Bada Bhagavata Shastra Ara Bhagavata Bhakta Bhakti Rasa Patra. One of the Bhagavatas is the great scripture of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the other is the pure devotee absorbed in the mellows of loving devotion. So when we were with Srila Prabhupada in India in 1971, he kept us so busy that we hardly had time to read. And I felt guilty about it, but I also felt helpless because we were so busy. So once when I was in his room in Calcutta, I didn't say anything, but he himself perhaps could read my mind, and he brought up the subject, and he quoted the verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 1-18, Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. And he said there are two types of Bhagavats, the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. And if you serve the person Bhagavat, all the truths of the book Bhagavat will be revealed even if you never read the book. Now, of course, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to read his books, and we also want to read his books. But the circumstances then were such that I didn't have time. But he reassured me that just by serving the person Bhagavat, all the truths of the book Bhagavat will be revealed, even if you never read the book. So, text 100. Dui Bhagavata Dvara Diya Bhakti Rasa Tanhara Hridaya Tanra Prema Hayavasa. Through the actions of these two Bhagavats, the Lord instills the mellows of transcendental loving service into the heart of a living being. And thus the Lord, in the heart of his devotee, comes under the control of the devotee's love. That's how the Lord comes under the control of the devotee's love is vividly demonstrated in the Damodar Leela, which we recently remembered every day during the month of Kartik or Damodar. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami continues this beautiful glorification of Lord Chaitanya and Nityānanda. Text 101. Eka adbhuta samakale donhara prakasha ara adbhuta chitta guhara tamakare nasha. The first wonder is that both brothers appear simultaneously. And the other is that they illuminate the innermost depths of the heart. Text 102. E Chandra Surya Dui Parama Sadaya Jagatera Bhagye Gaude Karila Udaya. These two, the sun and the moon, are very kind to the people of the world. Thus, for the good fortune of all, they have appeared on the horizon of Bengal. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The celebrated ancient capital of the Sen dynasty, which was known as Goda Desha or Goda, was situated in what is now the modern district of Malda. Later, this capital was transferred to the ninth or central island on the western side of the Ganges at Navadvip, which is now known as Mayapur, and was then called Godapura. Lord Caitanya appeared there, and Lord Nityānanda came there and joined him from the district of Birbhum. They appeared on the horizon of Godadesh to spread the science of Krishna consciousness. And it is predicted that as the sun and moon gradually move west, the movement they began 500 years ago will come to the Western civilization by their mercy. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityānanda Prabhu drive away the 5 kinds of ignorance of the conditioned souls. In the Mahabharata, Udyoga Parva, 43rd chapter, these 5 kinds of ignorance are described. My dear devotees, please pay attention to these 5 kinds of ignorance, because we want to make sure that we are free from them by the mercy of Sri Sri Gaur Nitai and Srila Prabhupada. They are: 1, accepting the body to be the self. 2, making material sense gratification one's standard of enjoyment. 3, being anxious due to material identification. 4, lamenting. And 5, thinking that there is anything beyond the absolute truth. Now, these are very important points, types of ignorance of which we should become free. But just on the point of lamentation, there can also be spiritual lamentation. When Srila Madhavendra Puri was in his last days, he was lamenting that he could not achieve Krishna and Mathura. And he had a disciple named Ramachandra Puri, who was quite ignorant and audacious. And he foolishly dared to instruct his spiritual master. And he told him that you should not be lamenting. And he quoted the Bhagavad-Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati Nakangshati. Nasochati Nakangshati, no hankering and no lamenting. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Labate Param. And Srila Madhavendra Puri rebuked him. He said, I'm already unhappy because I could not attain Krishna and Mathura, and now I'm doubly unhappy because this rascal has come to instruct me. And due to Srila Madhavendra Puri's rebuke, that disciple, well, he was a latent impersonalist, and he became filled with material desires and impersonal ideas. And his servant, Ishwara Puri, by the blessings of Sri Madhavendra Puri, became a great lover of God, and so much so that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as his spiritual master. So there can also be a spiritual lamentation. Prahlad Maharaj also lamented for the fallen souls bereft of Krishna consciousness. And once Srila Prabhupada spoke to me in his room in Bombay, and in quite a dramatic way, he said, our only lamentation, and then he paused, our only lamentation is that people are not taking to Krishna consciousness. So there can be spiritual lamentation, but material lamentation is one of the 5 kinds of ignorance. I'll read the list again because it's so important. 1, accepting the body to be oneself. 2, making material sense gratification one's standard of enjoyment. 3, being anxious due to material identification. 4, lamenting. And 5, thinking that there is anything beyond the absolute truth. The teachings of Lord Chaitanya eradicate these 5 kinds of ignorance. Whatever one sees or otherwise experiences, one should know to be simply an exhibition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's energy. Everything is a manifestation of Krishna. And then the last verse in this series, 103, say, Dui Prabhura Kari Charana Vandana Yana Haite Vignanasha Abhishta Purana. Let us therefore worship the holy feet of these 2 lords. Thus one can be rid of all difficulties on the path of self-realization. Once one disciple wrote Srila Prabhupada that he faced many obstacles on his path. And Srila Prabhupada wrote back, with one kick of my boot, I can remove all the obstacles. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today is also the disappearance day of Kaliya Krishna Das, and I've been asked to speak a little about him, which I will do. I made some notes. In Gaur Ganodesha Deepika 132, it is stated, Kala Śrī Kṛṣṇa Dasa Sa Yo Lavanga Saka Vraje. In Vraja, Kala Krishna Das was Krishna's cowherd friend named Lavanga. And the Chaitanya Bhagavat 35740 says, Kaliya Krishna Das was known throughout the 3 worlds. One can attain Gaurachandra through remembrance of him. Lavanga Saka is one of the 12 Gopals, in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Anubhasya commentary to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says that Kala Krishna Das was the best of the Vaishnavas. He knew nothing other than Nityānanda Prabhu's lotus feet. That's actually Chaitanya Charitamrita 1:11:37. And Chaitanya Bhagavat says, one will surely attain Sri Chaitanya and Sri Nityānanda simply by remembering Kaliya Krishna Das. Kaliya Krishna Das was completely devoted to Lord Nityānanda and knew nothing but the lotus feet of Nitai. Jai, Kaliya Krishna Das ki jai. So my dear devotees, do you have any questions or comments or reflections?
So Maharaj, Hare Krishna. How can we remember Kaliya Krishna Das? Just by hearing his name or the pastimes? We have to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Remembering his name, thinking of his devotion to Lord Nityānanda, thinking of his identity as a cowherd boyfriend of Krishna. They're all auspicious and can bring us great benefit.
One more question. Why is it that Lord Krishna doesn't want to force the conditioned souls to surrender unto him? He's giving them, telling them, surrender unto me. Is that a force, or it is a must, or why can't he just let us surrender unto him? There's some hesitation for surrendering unto him.
You're asking why he doesn't force us to surrender? Yes, Srila Prabhupada explained that Krishna wants our love, and love cannot be forced. And Krishna has complete independence, and we have minute independence. And we can use our minute independence either in the right way to surrender to Krishna and serve him, or in the wrong way. But Krishna never interferes with our minute independence. And therefore, at the end of Bhagavad-Gita, he says to Arjuna, now you have heard anything, now you do as you like. Yatechasi tatakuru, you do as you like. And the purport is that Krishna does not interfere with our minute independence. Again, because he ultimately wants our love, and love cannot be forced. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned that going back to Godhead is the devotional service in the mode of goodness. So then why Srila Prabhupada after every second, third lecture was encouraging to go back home, back to Godhead? Can you please help me understand this?
Well, as he writes in a purport to a verse in this first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, most people are not interested in going back home, back to Godhead. And there's also two ways of understanding back to Godhead. One is in the geographical sense, that you leave the material world and go to the spiritual, back home, back to Godhead. And the other is in the spiritual sense, that that by devotional service, in a way, you're already back to Godhead. And there was a very instructive morning walk in Mayapur with Srila Prabhupada and His Holiness Jaipataka Swami, His Holiness Jaitwaita Swami, and His Holiness Satsvarupa Das Goswami. A very interesting discussion of Guru in that talk. But at the beginning, Jaipataka Maharaj says that if one is fully engaged in devotional service, isn't he already back to Godhead? And Srila Prabhupada agreed, yes, he is already back to Godhead. So, yeah, in that sense.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the lecture. Maharaj, as you said that when we render devotional services, we'll feel satisfied and full of bliss. But at times we see that even after doing devotional service, we are not so much satisfied and we are just hankering. So my question is, like in the Purport, Srila Prabhupada says, in full Krishna consciousness. So how to be in full Krishna consciousness when we are rendering the devotional services?
Yeah, by chanting and hearing, associating with advanced devotees is very important. Srila Prabhupada said 90% of Krishna consciousness is association. So that's can be very helpful. I mean, is definitely very helpful. And so can you repeat the question?
So the how to be in, like as you answered that, we have to chant, and so how to be in full Krishna conscious in a way that we are able to give the services, as you mentioned in the three modes also, plus transcendental mode, that we need to do the services in a very elevated way so that we feel blissful also. That is the indication that we are doing it right.
Yeah. Well, there's another very important verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter. Savaipam samparo dharmo yadho bhaktir adhoksaje ahaituki apratiyata yayatma suprasidati. If the devotional service is ahaituki, that means without a cause, without any material motivation, and apratiyata, without any interruption or gap, yayatma suprasidati, that will fully satisfy the self. So, yeah, we should work on that. Srila Prabhupada quoted that verse in a talk in Boston when I first was coming to the temple. And I asked a question that I've heard you speak a lot about service to God, but where does service to man fit in? And Srila Prabhupada replied, with reference to that verse, that if you give someone something that makes him so satisfied that he doesn't want anything else, is that not a good service to a person? And he gave the example of Dhruva Maharaj. He briefly told the story of Dhruva Maharaj, who in the end said, Swamin kritarthosmi varam nayache, that in seeking my kingdom, I was looking for pieces of broken glass. But now that I have found you, my lordship, I have the most valuable jewel. So I'm fully satisfied. I don't want any other benediction. Swamin kritarthosmi varam nayache. So, yeah, that's the best service.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. In one of the verses that we read from the CC, it said that the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat are the two doors through which the Lord gives bhakti ras, the mellow of loving devotional service. So I was wondering if you could explain more about the mystery by which we can actually be blessed with bhakti ras. You know, because sometimes we're serving, but without bhakti or without ras. You know, we're just doing the service because it ought to be done. So how to actually get the taste, the actual loving devotional feeling for Krishna in the heart.
You reminded me of something that's completely off the topic. But there was a devotee in Juhu who was the temple president for a while, and his name was Rasaraj. And Burijan Prabhu, there were 4 co-GBCs, myself, Tamal Krishna Goswami, Burijan Prabhu, and Gopal Krishna Goswami. And Burijan Prabhu told him, you need a little more ras and a little less raja. So, to come back to... So what was your question?
How to get the bhakti ras, so that we're not just doing service because we're philosophically convinced that I'm a servant of Krishna, so I should serve Krishna, but actually to do it with love, with a sweet taste. And
well, that will come, you know, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Sri Gaur Nitai. And we can pray for it. But, yeah, we shouldn't be impatient also. The requirements for success in devotional service are enumerated by Srila Rupa Goswami and Upadeshamrita. And beginning with utsaha nischayat daryat. And utsaha means enthusiasm. Nischayat means confidence. And daryat means patience. So we should be enthusiastic. We should have confidence that in the end we will be successful. And at the same time, we should be patient. Srila Prabhupada said that enthusiasm without patience can lead to a desire to control. And patience without enthusiasm can lead to lethargy. So we need both enthusiasm and patience and confidence. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Avasya Rakshibe Krishna, that Krishna will definitely protect us. And Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is so pure and perfect that once having begun, one will be dragged to ultimate success. So I would say your success is guaranteed. but be patient. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. In verse 100, text 100, the last part of this is talking about in the heart of his devotee, Krishna comes under the control of the devotee's love. And you were reflecting how this past month of Kartik, we've been meditating on kind of things like the two fingers, endeavor and mercy. But I've heard in classes, sometimes it's mercy is more important, sometimes the endeavor is more important. So I was wondering, is one more important than the other, or are they exactly synonymous?
Well, they're both important. There's a saying that one should endeavor as if everything depended on oneself, and one should pray as if everything depended on the Lord. So we should do both intensely. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. When it came to service, like then I was thinking in terms of the current scenario in ISKCON in India. So like there are a lot of devotees and it's relatively not so viable to get direct association of very senior devotees and Maharajas. So devotees are serving under a structure in which they are like not directly accessible. They don't have the direct access to a very senior devotee. In that scenario, like how they can serve, because when one feels the connection, one can serve out of love, and that is like it gives a lot of fire and energy rather than like if you don't feel that connection. So one is through hearing, and there can be another process as well, or other ways through which like they can connect more, and that way feel more impelled towards service, because everybody wants to feel connection, then only they can serve. Without connection, it's difficult to serve.
Yeah. Well, as you know, there are two ways of associating. By Vani, which means words or transcendental vibration or instructions, and the other is by Vapu, which means body or physical presence. And when the Vapu is available, well and good, but when it's not available, we can maintain our connection with the superior personality through Vani, through following the instructions. And, there are occasions or places like Vrindavan you can come, and there are many experienced devotees here. You can get their direct association here. Krishna will arrange whatever association you need. But you also might have to go out of your way to get it. Yeah, at one stage, anyway, there was a period in ISKCON's history when there's some turmoil, and devotees, in different parts of the world were just struggling to maintain their projects after some of the gurus left. And I was, in a way you could say, stuck in South Africa and Mauritius, and I didn't have any association of peers, and I felt I was missing something. So then I came to Dallas, and I met Tamal Krishna Goswami and spoke about the need for more advanced association. He just said, you have to go out of your way to get it. Yeah, it might not just come to you, but you can make your effort to get it. Yes. So, a couple more bits. Yes, he had his hand up first. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. You cautioned us, citing the story of Ramachandra Puri and his ignorance and audaciousness in instructing his guru. Can you please elaborate a little bit more on the dangers of this audaciousness, where us children may feel righteous and wanting to offer some kind of corrections to elders or seniors, etc., as in the case example you mentioned?
Well, Srila Prabhupada said if you want to bring up something to a superior, the way to do it is by asking a question rather than making a statement. So instead of saying, you should do this, you can just ask a question. Do you think it might be better to do this? And then it's not audacious or presumptuous.
In regards to the question that he made before, mercy and endeavor, we see that sometimes we try so hard to get rid of anarthas, and we find that this is only Krishna can take them away. So it's ultimately him. And I wonder sometimes, why doesn't he take them, sooner? And like sometimes the world is going for the whole life practicing Krishna consciousness, and certain things just don't seem to go away, despite the fact that it's a serious practice. So I always have that doubt.
Well, again, utsaha nischayat daryat. You need enthusiasm and also patience. And but what you said is true. Yeah, there's a nice verse again in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, in which it is said that Krishna, who is situated in the heart of the truthful devotee, the word in Sanskrit is satam, which in broad terms means devotees, but in a more literal sense, truthful devotee. So Krishna, who is the well-wishing friend in the heart of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the devotee who's eager to hear his messages. So he will help. Yeah, he will help. But from our side, we should show our eagerness by hearing his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly chanted and heard. So yeah, it's Shravanam Kirtanam. Maybe increase the dosage or intensify the dosage, but that is the process.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had the opportunity to associate with some of Srila Prabhupada's senior devotees, and a common desire or aim which I saw in their expression was, I don't want to go back to Godhead, but simply to serve the lotus feet of my Guru, Srila Prabhupada, life after life. And that always caused a subtle confusion in me. And the question that it brings up is, what is the purest state of the heart's desire to eternally serve the spiritual master life after life, or to return home back to Godhead? Or are they different stages of evolution? How do you understand this?
I'm one of those who wants to serve Srila Prabhupada life after life. Chakudan diloye janme janme Prabhu se. We can also serve him in the spiritual world. So going back to Godhead does not preclude the possibility of serving Srila Prabhupada there. What is your desire?
It's just they seem to disregard that intention to go back to Godhead. It becomes secondary. The absorption becomes so focused in serving Guru and pleasing Guru that the thought of going back to Godhead is like a secondary consequence.
I think that's all right.
I'll follow in your footsteps, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. What is the difference between hearing and reading? Sometimes devotees say if you are hearing is also as equal to reading. So hearing is become easy for us also. So what is the difference between?
Yeah, reading comes in the category of hearing. And we want to do both. We want to read and we want to hear. When you hear, you get, the quality of the sound vibration of the speaker. But yeah, we also want to read. And that reading also comes in the category of hearing. There was one question that was posed to Srila Prabhupada, coming back to the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. And they're both equal in a way, but Srila Prabhupada said that in a way the person Bhagavat is better because he can catch you by the ear. All right, my dear devotees, thank you for listening so patiently and asking such intelligent and thoughtful questions. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So there will be a seminar this morning and tomorrow morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Balaram Hall.